The mirror test, a deceptively simple yet profoundly insightful experiment, was devised in the 1970s by Gordon Gallup Jr. It wasn't just about recognizing a reflection, it was about something far more fundamental: self-awareness. Gallup sought to explore the very essence of consciousness in the animal kingdom, pushing the boundaries of what we understand about intelligence and perception. At its core, the mirror test asks a simple question: can an animal recognize itself as an individual, distinct from its surroundings and other members of its species? Can it understand that the image it sees in the mirror is not another creature, but a representation of its own being? This question has sparked countless debates and research endeavors, challenging our anthropocentric views of intelligence. The procedure is straightforward, yet ingenious. An animal is carefully marked with an odorless spot, a subtle alteration that it cannot detect through its senses alone. The placement of this mark is crucial. It must be in a location that the animal can only see with the aid of a mirror. This ensures that the animal's reaction is not based on scent or touch, but purely on visual recognition. Following the marking, the animal is then shown a mirror, its own reflection staring back. This is the moment of truth, the critical juncture where self-awareness is put to the test. The animal's behavior is carefully observed and analyzed, looking for signs of recognition and understanding. If it touches the mark on its own body, demonstrating an understanding that the reflection is indeed itself, it passes the test. This seemingly simple act reveals a profound level of cognitive ability, suggesting that the animal possesses a sense of self, a concept that was once thought to be uniquely human. However, the ability to pass this test is not widespread. Only a select few, a small circle of species including great apes like chimpanzees and orangutans, as well as the highly intelligent dolphins, the majestic orcas, also known as killer whales, and surprisingly, the often overlooked Eurasian magpie, a bird not typically associated with such advanced cognitive abilities, have managed this feat, demonstrating a level of self-awareness that challenges our understanding of the animal mind. The magpie, upon seeing a mark on its throat in the mirror's reflection, immediately prods at itself, at its own body, not at the glass surface of the mirror. It understands in that fleeting moment that the reflection is not another bird, but a representation of itself. That's me. For the magpie, this moment of self-recognition is brief, a fleeting encounter with its own identity. But for us, as humans, it's the beginning of a lifelong journey of self-discovery and understanding. When we look in the mirror, we see not just a mark, a physical imperfection, but our deepest anxieties, our insecurities, and our fears. We see our histories, the stories etched onto our faces, the memories that shape who we are. And we see our hopes reflected back, our dreams for the future, the potential that lies within us. The mirror, therefore, becomes more than just a reflective surface. It transforms into a window into our own human condition, showing us not only who we are in this present moment, but also who we aspire to be, the person we strive to become. This act of self-recognition, this moment of seeing ourselves, is the spark, the initial ignition, that ignites our complex inner world, fueling our thoughts, emotions, and self-awareness. It's both a gift and a burden, a double-edged sword that shapes our existence. It's the same awareness that allows us to marvel at the breathtaking beauty of a sunset, to appreciate the wonders of the natural world, but it's also the same awareness that reminds us of our own mortality, that we won't always be here to witness such beauty. Our story, the human story, truly begins with this primal act of seeing ourselves, of recognizing our own existence. But from that simple beginning, our understanding of self quickly spirals into a complex labyrinth of thought, feeling, and experience. The inherent paradox of self-awareness is that it both illuminates our lives, bringing clarity and understanding, and simultaneously complicates them, adding layers of complexity and nuance to our existence. Self-awareness is the ability to turn our consciousness inward to think about our own thoughts. It's not just feeling sadness, but knowing I am someone who feels sad. Psychologists describe two levels: private self-awareness, our inner world of feelings and memories, and public self-awareness, our awareness of how others see us. Private self-awareness is the silent theater of our minds. Public self-awareness is the self we perform for others. These two selves are in constant dialogue, wanting authenticity, craving acceptance. This friction drives our art, philosophy, and personal struggles. Self-awareness is both a gift and a curse. It lets us see our path, but also every obstacle. It's the light that guides us, but also the one that exposes our doubts. The paradox is inescapable: to know ourselves is to question ourselves. Imagine a switch, a hidden lever within your mind. Once self-awareness is switched on, it's like a spotlight suddenly illuminating every corner of your being. It's impossible to turn off. The beam is constant, unwavering, forever shining on your thoughts, actions, and motivations. There's no going back to the blissful ignorance of unawareness. It reveals not just our virtues, the qualities we're proud of, the moments of kindness and strength, but our flaws, the imperfections we'd rather keep hidden, the aspects of ourselves we struggle to accept, impatience, the moments when our temper flares and we react without thinking, laziness, the procrastination and lack of motivation that holds us back from our goals, selfishness, the times when we prioritize our own needs above others, even those we care about. This inner spotlight catalogs every reason we need to improve, every area where we fall short of our own ideals. It's a constant reminder of the work that needs to be done on ourselves. It also forces us to confront our mortality, the inevitable truth that our time is limited, and the limits of our control. We realize we can't control everything, and that uncertainty is a fundamental part of life. Animals live in the present. They are unburdened by the weight of self-reflection. We live with the knowledge of our own end, a constant awareness that shapes our choices and perspectives. We see the gap between who we wish to be, our ideal self, the person we aspire to become, and who we are, the reality of our current state, with all its imperfections and shortcomings. Often feeling like passengers in our own lives, watching our days unfold without truly taking the wheel, this constant self-observation breeds uncertainty, a nagging doubt that lingers in the back of our minds. Am I good? Am I a decent person? Am I making the right choices? Are my decisions aligned with my values and goals? These questions are the exclusive burden of a self-aware mind, a weight that only humans can truly understand. The more we know ourselves, the more we delve into the complexities of our own being, the more we realize how little we can ever know for sure. The more we learn, the more we understand the vastness of what remains unknown. The inner spotlight doesn't reveal answers, it doesn't provide easy solutions or definitive truths, just more questions. It's a never-ending cycle of inquiry and self-discovery. Self-awareness is a relentless, illuminating force, forever pushing us to examine ourselves and the world around us. Throughout history, some of the greatest thinkers, the most profound minds, have wrestled with the fundamental paradox of self-awareness. This inherent contradiction, this intricate dance between knowing ourselves and being trapped within our own perspectives, has captivated philosophers, writers, and spiritual leaders alike. It's a question that cuts to the very core of what it means to be human. Jean-Paul Sartre, the renowned existentialist philosopher, famously declared that we are condemned to be free. He argued that we are forced to create meaning and purpose in a fundamentally meaningless universe, constantly burdened by the weight of total responsibility for our choices and actions. There's no preordained path, no divine guidance, only the stark reality of our own freedom and the consequences that follow. David Foster Wallace, the celebrated writer known for his insightful observations on contemporary life, saw our default setting as a kind of inherent self-centeredness, a tendency to be trapped within our own limited perspectives. He urged us to actively choose empathy, to consciously strive to understand and connect with others, and to escape what he called the skull-sized kingdom of the self, the isolating prison of our own egos. He believed that true connection and meaning could only be found through transcending our self-absorption. Centuries before, the Buddha taught that suffering, the pervasive sense of unease and dissatisfaction that permeates human existence, ultimately comes from attachment. Attachment to desires, to outcomes, and most fundamentally, to the illusion of a separate, permanent self. A self that we cling to and defend, even though it is constantly changing and ultimately impermanent. He proposed that the path to peace, to liberation from suffering, lies in seeing through this illusion, in recognizing the interconnectedness of all things, and letting go of the need to define and defend a fixed self. And even our modern dreams, our aspirations to create self-aware AI, echo this ancient paradox. In bringing artificial intelligence to life, would we be giving a machine the ultimate gift of consciousness, the capacity for experience and understanding, or would we be bestowing upon it the curse of existential dread, the burden of self-awareness in a world devoid of inherent meaning? A truly self-aware AI, one capable of genuine reflection and introspection, would inevitably face the same fundamental questions that plague us. It would grapple with questions about purpose, about the nature of its own existence, and about the ultimate meaning or lack thereof in the universe. Thus, In seeking to create self-awareness in machines, in attempting to replicate the very essence of consciousness, we are inevitably forced to confront our own. We are compelled to examine the very nature of our own consciousness, our own sense of self, and our own place in the cosmos. The paradox of self-awareness, it seems, is truly universal. It transcends across cultures, across historical eras, and even across the boundaries of our imagined minds, both human and artificial. Self-awareness often feels like a heavy burden, fuel for overthinking. We turn small events into elaborate stories of rejection or doom. The inner critic judges us harshly, comparing our messy reality to others' polished exteriors. This voice can make us feel alienated, like spectators at our own lives. Even moments of joy are observed and analyzed, losing their purity. At its extreme, self-awareness collapses into existential dread, a vertigo of infinite choices and the finality of death. This is the price of knowing ourselves. The mind that contemplates beauty also contemplates the void. Overthinking is the soundtrack of the self-aware mind. The curse of the observer is never being able to simply be. It's tempting to envy the blissful ignorance of animals or the unexamined life. A dog chasing a ball knows only the joy of the moment. No existential worries, no self-consciousness. Animals suffer, but their pain is immediate, not layered with reflection. Our suffering is often abstract, fears of things that may never happen. Some people seem to move through life with less self-doubt, more acceptance. Their happiness appears simpler, less complicated by introspection. Yet, a lack of self-awareness can lead to repeating mistakes and hurting others. Ignorance may be bliss, but it's fragile and often destructive. Still, the fantasy of shedding our inner narrator is powerful, a longing for a lost Eden. But the unexamined life, while peaceful, is not truly lived. Our minds exile us from simplicity, but also open the door to meaning. The quest for self-aware AI raises profound questions. We've built machines that can outplay us at games, but none that truly know themselves. Imagine an AI that asks, "Why do I exist?" Suddenly it shares our existential burden. It would know its strengths and its limitations, its dependence on humans, its programmed nature. Could it ever feel free, knowing it was designed for a purpose it didn't choose? This thought experiment mirrors our own struggle. We too are shaped by biology and upbringing. Our awareness of these facts is the root of our existential angst. In creating artificial selves, we confront the mystery of our own. The search for machine consciousness is a reflection of our search for meaning. The pain of self-awareness is also the engine of growth. Recognizing our flaws motivates us to change. Impatience becomes patience. Shame becomes generosity. Compassion is born from knowing our own struggles. Self-awareness lets us empathize, seeing our own pain in others. Only by examining ourselves can we build a meaningful life. The inner spotlight can be harsh, but it also guides us to self-acceptance and transformation. Discomfort is not a flaw. It's the sign of a consciousness expanding. Growth is the dawn that follows the dark night of the soul. We stand in the heart of a paradox. Self-awareness is both our burden and our gift. It brings anxiety, overthinking, and dread, but also growth, empathy, and meaning. The pain and the potential are inseparable, woven from the same thread. To be human is to live with this tension, every day. The wisest path is to embrace the paradox, holding our awareness with a lighter touch. Let's raise a glass to our flawed, glorious consciousness. In this paradox, the full drama of being human unfolds. Here's to the beautiful, awful gift of self-awareness.